So for this video, we are going to talk about in behavior of polynomial functions, and I am going to redo these graphs a little bit larger for you so that you can see them. But basically what we're going to do here is for in behavior, we're going to look at two things. First thing, we're going to look at the highest power, and we're going to decide whether or not that highest power is even or odd, okay? And so basically what happens here is if that highest power is odd, it's going to act like a line, meaning one end is up and one end is down. For an even highest power, it's going to act like a quadratic. So going back to familiar stuff that we already know. And it's either going to be both ends up or both ends down. Then we're going to look at the leading coefficient. So that thing right out there in the front. So I'm going to recreate these graph shapes as we go. So the first thing we're going to talk about is if n is odd. So if that biggest power is odd. So we're talking about the highest power is x to the 9th, x to the 5th, x cubed, x to the 87, anything like that, okay? Then we've got two groupings. That leading coefficient is positive, or that leading coefficient is negative, okay? So here's what's going to happen. If n is odd, then it's going to act like a line, okay? So we're going to put in our grid spaces here. Now, if that leading thing is positive, it's going to act like a positively sloped line. Positively sloped lines normally go up a hill like this. So that means that our right-hand side is going to be up, and our left-hand side is going to be down. Now notice I did make them go a little more up and down. Now, for the stuff in the middle, we don't know what this graph looks like in the middle. And so I'm going to do it kind of dashy, okay? But I'm also doing it in a different color. So I don't know what's going on in the middle. Maybe it's something like this. Maybe there's less humpy, bumpy, lumpy things. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But we do know that this end is going to be up and this end is going to be down. That may be a little further out or closer in, but that's what we've got. Now, if that leading coefficient is negative, then it's going to act like a negatively sloped line, which goes this way. So this end is up and this end is down. So we would have this end up, this end down, and again, don't really know what's going on with all of this, okay? So that's kind of out there, don't really know what's going on. But we have this kind of basic thing. But again, we know this end is up, this end is down. Now, they may use phrases like left end down, right end up, or left end up, right end down. They may use the word falls or rises when they do this. Now, the second scenario that comes into play is that the highest power is even, okay? And if it's an even power, then it's going to act like a quadratic. So our U-shaped graphs that we had back over in section 3.1. And so we know that if our A value on a quadratic was positive, that it was both ends were up. And so the same thing happens on the rest of our polynomials, okay? So we have this. Now, if it's negative, then the same way that we had on a quadratic that made it open upside down, that means this end is down, okay? And again, in either one of these scenarios, I don't know what the middle of all this is going to look like, but I do know both ends up, or they may say both sides rise, vocabulary like that, or both sides are down, both sides fall. And again, that's based on our leading coefficient for either one of these. Now, taking a look at a couple of examples for this, okay, kind of coming back from our PowerPoint, okay. The first example that we're going to look at, and they just want us to determine the end behavior, is we have f of x equals x to the 4th minus 4x squared. Now, the only part of this that we care about is this first term. Now, biggest power is a 4. So n is 4. This is even, okay? So we know it's going to be either both up or both down. Now, we take a look at the coefficient out front. There's not a number in front of here. So that means it's a 1. Our leading coefficient is 1, and that is positive. So that means both ends are going to be up since that's positive. Now, if I had to draw a pretty picture, I would just do something kind of like that. Okay, so now let's take a look at another example. If they gave us f of x equals negative x to the 7th minus 4x to the 4th plus 9. Again, for in behavior, I only care about this biggest power right here. So I've got x to the 7th, so it is 7. That is odd. If it's odd, then it's going to act like a line. So it's either going to be one end up, one end down going this way, or one end up, one end down going this way. So then I take a look out here in the front. It is negative. That means we're going to act like a negatively sloped line. So it means this end is up, this end is down. Okay, so they may say left end up, right end down, left side rises, or left rises, right falls, something along that line. But we've got one, this left side is up and the right side is down as far as our graph picture is concerned.